in the place. Da-na-na-na, Mac and Perry.
Go live to create.
Da-na-na-na, Mac and Perry invite you to stay.
Welcome to Tell a Story Hive on location here in Lloydminster. I'm Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is my co-host,
Daniel J. Perryman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is...
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, podcaster, and educator.
Here we go, good stuff. Yeah, so we're really excited to be here in your home and learn about your artistic practice and see some of your work. But this first segment we call kind of the icebreakers. And so we play a few little games to get you comfortable and warmed up and get to know each other outside of our artistic practice, just us as people. So
Perfect.
It'll be fun.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having us. So the first game, we'll call it a game we play, is a little bit of trivia. And so we prepared, you'll be all right. We prepared some Lloydminster trivia. We just Google things, basically, search things, so you don't have to be an expert. It'll be simple. And I'll make it easy for you.
One would think I knew this in elementary school, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what. Okay, we'll do a.
Okay, we're
this
good.
feels like
You
an
go
elementary,
for it.
an elementary school question about flags. So.
No. Okay. Great.
Okay. So the flag for the city of Lloydminster has a plant from each province prominently displayed. Which plants are they? It's multiple choice. Don't worry. Is it the Rocky Mountain goldenrod and prairie crocus? Is it B, the western wood lily and Saskatoon berry? Is it C, the wild rose and western red lily? Or is it D, the Indian paintbrush and chokecherry?
I didn't need multiple choice. I know because I draw those all the time for like our city.
Well, there we
things.
go.
Yeah, no, I like with contract work. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
easy.
yes, I definitely know our flowers.
Good.
And my dad always walked me through Bud Miller and would remind me every time we saw the wildflowers, specifically what they represented. And we always go to northern Saskatchewan. So I have fond memories of flowers.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Provincial
simple.
flowers.
Yeah, it's not nothing too complicated.
Okay.
We try to make it easy. See? So now we'll put me in the hot seat. So we've got questions that are about each other. So that's a question you can ask me about Daniel.
Okay.
And we'll see how well I know Daniel.
I have 3 boys, all in hockey. Daniel has skated how many times in his life?
A?
No, I just want you to
Okay,
go
all right,
for
all
it.
right. Just give me some options.
Not very many, let's just say.
Okay, all right. Let me guess. Okay, not very many. I'm going to go with 3. The answer is 3. No, I don't know.
Twice.
Twice.
You were
Oh,
super
close.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the highest number on there?
3.
Oh, 3 was the highest number. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not very many times.
So when I asked you if you're a hockey fan, the answer is no.
No. Yeah. Nice. All right, so we've got another Lloydminster trivia question for you, and Daniel's going to read that one to you.
Absolutely. My piece of trivia for you, seeing as you maybe like hockey or have to engage with it to some extent.
I'm in it, yep.
Yeah.
I won't say either way in front of the camera. I'll get kicked out of Lloydminster. What, are you kidding me? Yeah, no.
Not if you get this wrong. That'll be fun. Which of the following NHL players grew up in Lloydminster? Was it A, Colby Armstrong, B, Garnet Ace Bailey, C, Corey Cross, or D, all of the above?
Oh no. There were like easier ones, than those people.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with names.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know. I know Clark Clark MacArthur, only because we were in high school together.
Oh well.
And yeah, and I won't say anything else. And then what's his name? Wade Redden is from Hillmond, and red curly hair, who also owns one of my art pieces. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get kicked out of Lloydminster.
That sounds like multiple hockey
no,
players.
there's so many hockey players. That's why I don't know the answer.
But maybe
I don't
there's...
know. Corey Cross.
Corey Cross? is correct, but not their
It's
true
all of
answer.
them. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it's a bit of a trick question.
See,
but-
Lloydminster should be so proud. Look at all their hockey program and all their effort. They've got NHLers. Congratulations.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, next game. We know we have one more
Scott
trivia.
Hartnell. Sorry, I had to get
Yeah.
it, or I would get kicked out.
Right, we'll haul you away.
Lloydminster and surrounding area. Yeah.
Great. So we have one more trivia question, and this is one I prepared for Daniel
Okay.
to see how well I know him. Let's see what he gets.
One of the creative hats I wear as a producer of the Color Me Happy podcast, Michael has some experience podcasting. On the last podcast episode he published, who did he interview? Do you want me to read them?
I would love
Okay,
some
okay.
options. Yeah.
We listened to it on the way up.
There we go. He was zoned out.
Yeah.
Holly Hogan on her book, Message in a Bottle, Ocean Dispatches from a Seabird Biologist. Ariana Richardson on using plastic waste in art. Michael Maniates on his Maniates, yeah, that's why, on his book, The Living Green Myth. Or Bradley Peter from the Alberta Lake Management Society on the Old Watershed?
Old Man Watershed.
Old Man Watershed.
Ooh, I feel like a few of those are definitely possible, if not all of them. I'm just gonna go with the last one there for the watershed. Is that correct?
So it's the Bolden ones that see.
Oh, the bold. Okay,
Yeah.
it was Michael.
Maniates.
There we go.
The Living Green Myth, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but that's close because the last season I did was the Old Man Watershed.
Oh, okay.
Great.
So you would have been a fan of the Project Hail Mary, the movie and the book? The book? More? Did you read them? Watch them?
I do not know this.
What?
Hail Mary, yeah.
What? Are you living under a rock?
Tell me about Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. It's Ryan Gosling's new film.
I haven't
Have
seen
you
it yet.
seen it?
I haven't
Oh
seen
my
it yet,
gosh.
but I'm excited.
Okay, I crushed the audiobook because I've been working so hard. So summertime I can read. But it was lots of science and lots of math and lots of environment things. And very interesting. And then I took my oldest son to the movie. It was so good.
Nice.
It was so good. You'd love
Nice,
it,
I
I
would.
think,
I
what you like.
yeah.
Yeah,
I live in
sorry,
an
got
off-grid tiny house, which is not under a rock,
You
but
do?
yeah, that I built myself.
Good for you.
Yeah. So sometimes I
right,
miss out
yeah.
on things. I don't have like internet and my phone.
How do you live? No.
right.
No. Good for you. And you know what? No. I'll go down a rabbit hole of if you live in a tiny house, and now I have many questions for you.
Good.
We'll talk about it
Talk
after.
after. Yeah. Nice.
But I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, so that's our trivia. We know our next little activity is this or that. And these are just pieces of paper, and they have two things on them, and they're related. So it's like coffee or tea, cats or dogs. And then we just ask your preference, and we can all get to know each other, and we all give our opinions on how we feel about those things. How about you pick the first one, then I will answer, and we'll go around.
Okay. Winter or summer?
Good question.
We're Canadians.
Yeah, I would say like I enjoy summer a lot. Oh, we're going to put it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might get it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy summer. Yeah, lots of hiking and biking and camping. But I think I'm actually going to go with winter on this answer. Yes, because, some backcountry, skiing, snowshoeing. I think that generally, especially as Canadians, we don't appreciate winter as much. And to get outside in winter, I think there's a lot of beauty in the stillness in the mountains, the frozen water, the quiet. I think there's a lot there that people miss out on. So I'm going to go with winter over summer on this one.
That's a beautiful answer.
Thank you, yeah.
There is,
Right.
if you do go outside in the winter, which I think maybe why some people get winter blues is we do, it's like gorgeous. Like it's magical in its own way.
Yeah.
I run all winter, and in Lloydminster, that's like a feat in itself. So it's very cold and your eyelashes freeze together sometimes. But again, it's just like that outdoorsness, and we have a beautiful park, so lots of places to go, and it's like you have your own little magical world because not a lot of people are out in the winter.
That's part of the quiet. Yeah. You don't get the busyness, and I feel like you feel just more alive when you're outside and it's chilly, and then
feel a part of it.
Yeah. So how about you, summer or winter, if you had to choose?
I do love the sun, as we are sitting in a blizzard currently. Yeah, I do love it. I love having 3 boys because I get to re-experience winter through a child's eyes. So like sledding down a hill really fast or skiing, which I have recently experienced, and I could take it or leave it, but I'm in it. So I have the gear now and I am doing it. The views were not lost on me in Jasper, and I got to photograph the recent wildfire and capture it. And now I'm going to make some prints for fundraising for Watershed to protect the water in the Rockies. So like the art always goes into the seasons and what I'm experiencing, but I do love warmth on my skin. And I just feel joy like collecting and pressing flowers, making art outside. Every year my dad has like peacocks and chickens and guinea fowl, hens, I don't know. He has all these things, and so every year we hatch something, whatever he's gotten at the exotic bird show from the exhibition, and we hatch them. And so I'll like sit for weeks with like new baby geese and sketch outside. And we recently got a lake lot, so we'll get to experience that, and it's full forest. So I'm really excited to, my aim is to if I had my way, it would be a tiny cabin, but we're going to go with energy neutral and earth conscious, eco conscious. Yeah, so I'm in the midst of like that creativity. So I'm excited to float in water and be in summer. So summer is, my season.
That's
definitely
great. Awesome.
Joy, energy, it's all there.
Absolutely, nice. I will throw it over to Daniel, if he's more of a summer or a winter person.
Yeah, I think I would have to say, generally, I'm a summer person. I like going for runs in the summer and just the sunsets later, and that can be like a nice rounding out to the day. And going camping and hiking. I enjoy all those things. They bring me great joy. So I'd probably say summer, but I will never forget going like snowboarding for the first time with my friends and just sitting on the side of a mountain, and the snow eats up all the sound, and it's just visuals, and it was just incredible. So that is also not lost on me. So
I guess we're all lucky to be Canadian and have those experiences. There's something about a season, like, the appreciation of the good weather is substantially, you're so grateful. You're like, it's so nice out today. Or as Amy Poehler with her new podcast, she's like, they're liars. It's never warm in Canada. So I think we're a hardier people, right?
So,
yeah.
Absolutely, Great. We'll do one more this or that, and then we'll move on to our other game. I think I'll pull this one out. Okay, great. Haven't done this one in a while. Bury or cremate, which would you rather?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess maybe like the more we're talking, I'm like, people are gonna be like, she's very into Mother Earth. I am. I would like to give back to the earth and have a tree over me and be like the pods where you decompose, and obviously give back to the energy of the earth that you got as a temporary guest on the planet.
Great, So we kind of be burying, but the tree.
Thank you. I wanted to think about death
tree
today.
Pods. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. Actually, I would steal that answer if you hadn't already said it. That is the most environmentally friendly, I think, a very environmentally friendly thing to do. I guess, I'm not going to say bury or cremate either, but I've donated like my body to science, and so another kind of environmentally friendly thing to do is like, here's some organs and stuff. And hopefully they can use them. I don't really know how that works, but I signed up.
Well, you could donate organs and be under a tree.
Yeah, whatever's left over.
Yeah, we got more of it. But you may be missing some pieces, but you still give back.
In
both. More ways than one.
Exactly, Daniel, I'll throw it over to you. Would you rather be buried or cremated?
Well, I would also go with those options, but for the sake of simplicity between the two, I guess I'd say cremate. between those two options, but I would also love to become a tree if I'm being real. So
Nice.
yeah.
You do like the Viking like cremation, where they put like in a boat and then light the thing on fire.
That
Yeah,
could be
That'd be sweet.
cool. That could be cool.
On the Old Man River or something.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. We'll move along to our Tumbling Towers game. And so this is this little tower we have there. Have you played this game before?
Jenga, we have like the giant Jenga. Yeah, we
Ooh.
play it often.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. This is just regular size. But we have a twist. We've added these numbers, and they all correspond to an open-ended question to get us the conversation going. And so it might be like, what's your perfect day look like? Or who's someone who inspires you? And it's fun. So we never know what we're going to get. How about you go first, because I put the last paper. So if you want to poke around, find a tile that's loose and put it on top. Yeah, we couldn't get giant Jenga on the road here. That'd be a lot.
It's
logistics.
actually super heavy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. I've taken it on the road for hockey teams. 45.
45. All right. If you found yourself in London for the day, what would you do?
Ooh, I'd try to find like art friends, like someone who I knew there. Well, tough to say. I like being alone too. Like I'd split the day, because the best way to experience something, if you're like new to a place, is they know the best restaurants and the best like hole in the wall things to do. I love that part of touring with someone. I love food a lot. And so, yeah, if you can find me the best food somewhere quicker than me having to try to find it myself, I will eat my way through there. And I would love to like visit or podcast with an artist or creative, but I would also like to explore solo, because that's the best way to meet people. You're more inclined, in what I learned from the Montreal experience, where I was placed there for 30 days trying to find another person for an artist project. You meet so many people alone, because if you're with someone, there's that barrier of not being approachable or whatever, and people are just more inclined to speak to you and talk to you, and you to them. And so you're meeting musicians, you're meeting other artists, you're meeting someone from CBC, you're meeting you all, like, it is an adventure. I actually love solo traveling a lot, but you know, I fell in love with it early, which was just really lucky. Yeah. Nice.
Cool. I will answer as well. I'd love to ask follow-up questions. Don't normally ask follow-up questions. Okay, one follow-up question. Your first solo trip, where was that?
My first solo trip, I think, was Montreal. I was really afraid. Okay. Obviously, my brother had recently moved to Edmonton, and he's a musician. And so I met him that night, and White Ave was really hopping, and there was like a European cafe, and there was this quartet playing, and he just seemed so in his element, and he finally had made like musician friends and was like just excitedly going, and then something clicked, and I was like, I'm gonna do that when I go. I won't be so afraid and terrified. I was very young, young 20s. So yeah, I got picked for that project, placed in Montreal, and it was just insane. Like, I met the most amazing actually, which I mentioned to you guys earlier, but I met Andrew swimming in a fountain one night, and he ended up being a videographer and going to film school there and having a bunch of film friends, which I minored in films. I'm very interested in that, and in Halifax in Nova Scotia. I guess that was really technically my first trip, was going to school there, but like my first trip alone, and being terrified, but doing it anyway. So I was there for 30 days, and it was the best experience of my life, like really learning about Montreal culture, being yelled at by old men in the Parc La Fontaine for not speaking French. I don't speak French, but they are very French, and if you're on the wrong side, not speaking French, I guess it's bit of an insult. I would have loved to learn, but it just wasn't quite my thing. I tried, but and then 2 months later, I went to France on a painting residency. So it was like a bunch of travel really fast, being stuck at a train station while everyone was napping in France And they shut down for the afternoon. They're like, oh, 3 o'clock, we're done. And yeah, so it was like so cool. But I'm glad I did those things early on, because once you do something afraid and it works out, like here and there, you're good, you know?
Gain some confidence.
Yeah.
I know we're out of time, but I'll quickly tell you about my first solo travel. It was actually my brother's honeymoon. They got married and then they actually got pregnant, and so they couldn't go, but they had the tickets to Hawaii, and so like, you want to go? So I'm like, sure. And I was going to go with a friend, but then he had backed out last minute, so I just went alone to Hawaii on my brother's honeymoon for 2 weeks.
And do you recommend now solo travel?
Yeah,
Everyone?
absolutely. Yeah.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, I've ended up meeting so many more people, and I wasn't as adventurous as I am now, but yeah, I definitely could have made more of the trip, but just going out on your own like that was quite a very different experience. And I was 18 at the time. So
yeah, that's young. Yeah, life changing, right?
Yeah.
A great way for young people to gain confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. All right, I guess we will wrap this segment up. So this has been the Icebreakers. It's been fun to kind of get to know you a little bit. And we'll move on to the interview. So this has been Tell a Story Hive on location in Lloydminster. I'm Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is my co-host,
Daniel J. Perryman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, podcaster, educator, and author.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome to Tell a Story Hive on location here in Lloydminster. I'm Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is my co-host,
Daniel J. Perryman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, educator, podcaster, and author.
Many, many artistic
I'll
hats.
never say those in the same order.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So we had our first segment. It was great to get to know you a little bit. Just generally, we get to know each other. But this is the interview. And I'm just really curious about your artistic practice and kind of the journey you've been on, as much as we can cover it in 30 minutes. And let's have a nice conversation. So,
sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess you did give us a kind of a high-level overview of the things you do. I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit more, or just we could jump into like when you started making art.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone makes art. Every child is interested in art. I think environmentally, whether it's nurtured or not, I think, or is kept their safe place, which I think when you speak about education and arts and creativity, I think it's highly devalued as like big time. it's the safest way and the nicest way to create new neuron pathways and problem-solving skills, agility. What is it? The kindergarten hand. What is the word? Dexterity. They're concerned about young people and dexterity. And studies that they do in, I think it was the Netherlands, is like with that falling scale, they launched, they don't do reading and math and whatever until like grade 1 or later, and then they do more like nature-based creativity skills, and then that helped with dexterity, etc. So I think it's one of the biggest things, again, that is devalued in education. And so the more that that is a safe space, which for me, I had grandparents who would always show up with like boxes full of, you know, stuff for me to like, you know, dive into. I remember I won a wishbone one Thanksgiving, and like I got a set of markers in the mailbox that was still attached to my home.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
You know, like mailboxes.
Yeah.
So I think it was nurtured. My dad loves music. He's a chef. My mom just always kind of let us do there was a lot of freedom. I was a bit of a like paint on your floor and bring the sandbox inside kind of child. Okay. So it was there. It was there. And there's a spark and this like energy. And so I really think you just know, like you do know. And if you, now that I talk to any of my teachers, they're like, we knew. Whether I knew it or not, that I was going into the arts as a career. I didn't. That takes, I think, years of discovery and experimentation and in life and finding yourself as a young person. But it was always there was always that art element throughout in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that sounds like a fun childhood. And so I guess, what was the point where maybe you realized that, hey, maybe I'm an artist and I want to do this a bit more seriously, maybe?
I guess when I decided to go to art school, I went to, it's called Red Deer Polytechnic now, but it was Red Deer College at the time. My cousin had attended the program. She's in Toronto now, and she like she like started with product design. She's like a big deal, and she travels all over the world and does fancy things with product design for like, I don't know if she works for Kraft anymore, but like stuff like that, like how the asparagus looks on the label. But so she went into the more like
commercial,
corporate world of art. But she was always I was always drawn to her stunning artwork that she created in the program. So that was maybe one like little like, I guess we'll do this because I'm okay at sports and I don't know, like, and so I have a lot of energy and a lot of like busy, like just, busyness, which I think if I'm not busy in a constructive way, it can become destructive. So, and my aunt lived there, which really helped. And so my mom's like, you're not doing volleyball. You're not good enough. She didn't say that, but I wasn't. And so you're not doing volleyball. You're there to go to school. And my aunt's like, why don't you join the cross-country running program? You're already a runner. And you can just do that. Again, I think like as the women in my life, they like she needs to run or she's too much for us. To run out that energy. So I joined it, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful mix of getting to know, mostly in that cross-country running group, run by Brian, who wore the shortest shorts, and he was much older. But he was in the science wing of RDC, and so he was such a cool man. And so into running and climbing and hiking and all these things, and to get to experience those like more sciencey people, so you're mixed in with that, and the athletes and the artists. So it was, I think you're like into my second year, it was like I really like art. Like I like this whole mix of things. And I do want to paint. Like I'm a passionate expressionist sort of painter. Very physical elements to big abstract pieces mixed with like figurative, and just like they created a really nice environment where they may let you like be yourself very early on, which I don't think many people experience when they go to art school. And then I transferred to NASCAD in Halifax and experienced a different round of people and programming and environment. So, but definitely I loved Red Deer Polytechnic experiences. And if anyone wants to check their programming out, they have summer series. So you don't have to go to full school. Like going to school is a big commitment and financially, and your time is precious. So they do have small summer series programs, which I have attended. And I also was their artist in residence once. I came back afterward. And that's how I think Robin Lambert might be the head of the program now. And that was his Montreal project that I got to be a part of after I attended the residency and applied to be a part of that program. So
the Red Deer residency.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sounds like you were exposed to painting and mural painting.
I wasn't exposed. So it was over 20 years ago now, which seems kind of crazy to say. So the art world looks a lot different, or what I guess my knowledge base around what being an artist looks like, or being a female artist looks like. And the business side of being an artist, like we were taught the history of art. We were taught ceramics, sculpture, like they had a foundation, they had glass blowing, they had all these things. So you're experimenting, but you're kind of young and stupid at the same time. But the whole business side of art, like the only part we were taught was like building a CV, like what is that? And how do you write it in Word? So there was no Facebook yet, like that hadn't caught on quite. It was a couple years later while I was in Halifax, so that element wasn't there. So exposure to, and what defined success changed so drastically as soon as social media came in as a player. The idea of what success was you tried to get into a gallery and the gallery sold your work, and that was the goal. That was the highest achievement, really. So, and I would say my opinion on that is very different of what that looks like for each individual artist. It varies. So I forget the original question. But
I was asking about your time in Red Deer. Because it just sounded like you mentioned just being exposed to painting and mural painting at that time.
No mural painting. That's right. No, that was a self goal. I just got really obsessed with needing to paint a wall. And so the algorithm fed me mural artists for like a year, and then Lloydminster is such a great, encouraging, like go for it kind of community. And I have a friend who founded Red Bicycle Communications, which is a like marketing media business downtown. And so I just said, hey, one night while I was, I don't doom scroll. I like rabbit hole scroll into like, I can make that. I want to make that. I want to try this medium. So it's more like a creative brain on fire, but I just threw it out there. And in my book, I call it Be Brave Days. You just ask for stuff, and you ask for so much stuff. You just go for it, and then you forget how much stuff you've asked for. And then like 3 weeks or 3 months later, someone's like, oh yeah, we will do that. And you're like, cool. But that night I messaged Jill from Red Bicycle Communications, and I was like, hey, Jill, you're downtown. Know anyone downtown who also like wants a wall, like a mural? And she's like, I do actually. John's looking for a mural. I was like, oh, no way. What's his email? And it did take 3 months to like plan and coordinate. But it happened. It was my first one. It was almost 50 feet. So it was kind of crazy.
We've kind of fast forwarded to like further in the present, right? Or when did that happen in your artistic
2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. After like about my second child was in there.
Okay. So that's about where we were at. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Just follow up question based on what you were just talking about, the Be Brave days. Like, what was like your biggest ask, if you can remember?
Well, probably the 3,000 square foot mural.
Yeah, that's the biggest
that
one.
came in 2023, right?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I remember Malcolm Radke's voice. He was the CEO of the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation at the time, and I just called Malcolm up, and right,
Yeah.
I just called
call him up.
Hey, what's up, dude? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think I might have emailed him, and then we talked, but he's like, yeah, no, I think that wall is like 60 feet out there. I was like, yeah, sure, I bet it is. It wasn't.
No,
It was like 150 feet
Yeah.
by like 23 or something insane. And so he's like, no, I get it. That sounds really great. And then they had, he got replaced by Stephanie Monroe. So it was a 2-year-long process. And of course, like with the subject matter, we had a lot of work to do there. So it's that's like a 45-minute long story. So.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll save that for.
Well, Coles knows it
Later,
later, but
pause.
yeah.
Maybe we'll get later or with the
yeah.
showcase, because it's a very interesting story around that. Yeah, maybe let's just go back briefly. I think we last left off that you were at your college. You went to Halifax. Kind of what led to you going out there for school?
So I don't overthink things. I kind of dive in and do it. How far is Halifax? Firstly, sorry, I spit, but like, it's so far from here. Like, first of all, we have to drive to every airport, whether it be Saskatoon or Edmonton.
Okay.
We're kind of in the middle as a border city.
Yeah.
So didn't think that one through as like a, 19-year-old. And it's so far and expensive. And I didn't grow up with money. And so, yeah, like got to come. I was a little bit lonely. Right before I left, I had met my husband now. So he's also from Lloydminster, and his family has Windsor plywood. And so they're deep rooted here. And so, yeah, I was a bit like, and in Halifax in the winter, it's like we have the land of the living skies and open sunny skies. And so it's a little bit more like gray and dreary. And my mom had moved me there and flown out with me, and she bought me a rain suit. I was like, God, Mom, rain suits are for losers. Like, this is so ugly. Like, I was young. You have to remember, like, I really, like, now I rock whatever I do not care. Like, function over fashion for sure. And I had lived over Citadel Hill. So if anyone's familiar with Halifax, it's a giant hill. And I had an hour walk to NASCAD every day from where I lived and up that freaking hill in like ice storms. And so, yeah, I learned after the first rainstorm, walking to school and being drenched all day at school, being stuck in your wet clothes, that it was cooler to wear the rain suit and be dry at school than to not be. So it was an experience. It's gorgeous in Halifax, and the culture is really neat. The people are really neat. It was a university core, so meeting lots of people, cool little shops, great like music, nightlife, sort of, you know, the harbor. Like the next year I was there, I lived right on the harbor. So, and NASCAD had expanded onto the harbor. So it's a really gorgeous school to go to. It's their university, like a lot of the studio spaces are right along the water where you're just seeing ocean. I, of course, went to the old one where it's like above a bar, but there's something to that as well. And I learned a lot of like painting theory and stuff like that. So we had great professors. It was just a little, I would say, and it's probably very different now, but like a very competitive painting program. And because I'm not competitive, I'm more like a work together and let's make something cool. So I did gravitate eventually toward the film people. And I lived right across the street from where Ellen Page at the time lived, and she had just made, who is Elliot Page, so he had just made Juno, and so that was really cool. And then people at the grocery store, they'd be like, we just saw Ellen. I was like, good for you. Yeah, I really wanted to see her. She attended that program, And the teacher was just really cool and super chill. And so he let me take like a full camera into the ocean to capture my script based off of a novel at the time. And yeah, I just fell in love with film, and I almost like switched careers because I was so in love with it. Just capturing like snow kind of slowly drifting on sand. Like I just loved it. But then I was like researching film things in Lloydminster, and obviously Kim from our studios didn't live here at the time. There's nothing. It was like closest things like Calgary or whatever, guilds and stuff like that. So, but again, wouldn't regret moving back here to Lloydminster. Wonderful community, and our family was here, so that's most important. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah. So after your time there, I guess you came back here? Is that what came next?
I did. I came back here, yeah.
And then once you're back, like what kind of would be the next big thing in your artistic journey?
Artistic journey. Well, I continued making art fully. Which kind of feeds into your series and people you're interviewing. I worked for Eleni Kokones, but now Young, her family at their Greek restaurant. And what was cool is we hosted like wine tasting evenings, and they had my art as like a whole art event, and we had music. And so that's what I love about Lloydminster. You're like, should we do this? And everyone's like, oh, let's make it work, you know? So I was always doing that. And then I got into our Vic Juba Community Theatre, and I did marketing and hospitality for them. So more of an arts-based career. Got to meet really cool Canadians like Jan Arden. She bought my artwork at the time that I made for, like, as she was coming to the theater. So I painted her face, and then I like tweeted her. And she was like, I'm going to buy that from you. And I was like, really? Okay. Yeah. And then I got to meet her and make her dinner. And she's so funny. Yeah. Like, and she came on my podcast, and the best human ever. Yeah, just really cool. So each of those were 4 years. So that was 8 years in total. And then of course on my second mat leave, second child, I was like, I'm not going to work full time. As far as childcare goes, you don't want to be coming home with, close to what you're making with someone else's raising your children. And I think that's when it was a really nice time to like kick it into full-time artist gear, So I did. Yeah.
And how'd that go?
Because I was at home with napping children. I had an art consultant, Penny Lane, and it was at the point where social media was really transitioning out of that gallery model that I had spoken about earlier, where you have to be represented by a gallery in order to succeed. And so Penny Lane basically said, your custom portraiture, they're like amazingly, I don't even know how you do it. So let's just like really focus on getting those custom orders up, getting that all up on the site, having that as like a system, and they can book right through there and you'll be good to go. And I ended up with my galleries and exhibitions and the custom orders I made, ended up making 130 pieces of artwork in a year, and I burnt out really hard on top of having children, 2 children, no, 3 at the time, like just had the third. And I didn't want to paint faces anymore, which was a huge issue. And so I wrote a book and started a podcast. I had gotten into muraling, so really transitioning into having an income pie that was more diverse and not so like that model of just creating art. Obviously, you don't have an open well of creativity that you can pull from. It gets empty at some point. And so having that sustainability in my practice has really helped. And one of the biggest factors in that has been the murals at first, and then creating our education system through our public school system for youth, so Art Academy, and online art education, which is more, I would say, like career artists or people who want to, like emerging artists getting into portraiture. Yeah, has been the most popular kind of thing, and that helps alleviate that pressure of like I have to sell artwork to make money, which I think takes away, for me personally, some of the magic.
It takes away some of the magic.
Yeah.
When you have to sell it for money.
Making like 10 to 12 a month, like that's insane.
Yeah.
That's like, I remember one Christmas Eve, I was like needing to finish a commissioned artwork for someone very dear to me because I couldn't say no. I had also had a problem saying no. So
okay, yeah, and that makes sense if you're just burned out and.
But writing really helped me get through that period of time. You know, and we had lost 2 parents in that time, so I think I was grieving too. I think the writing really helped get through the grief.
And that's where the Color Me Happy book came out of, is the writing? Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm very intuitive and an expressionist at heart. And I just had to write. Like I couldn't think about anything else. And I had 3 kids. So those time increments, like you don't have 2 hours, you don't have an hour really. Sometimes you have 15 minutes to run down to your computer and just put in what you're thinking, like holding a baby while the other ones ran around on the street with everyone else. And you're like, okay, you're kind of thinking of this thing, or nursing a baby in a dark room with a sound machine, like that's silence, that's meditation. Or on a run, you know, that's a moving meditation. And then I would think of these ideas, quickly write them down as fast as I could. And then, so that's like called brain dumping. And then putting it together as a book. It's basically like a lot of advice on living your ordinary life as an extraordinary life, because I think we're always, you know, looking for that grass is greener kind of thing. If I get to this point, I'll be happy. Or if I make X amount of money, I'll be happy. Or if my home looks a certain way, I will be happy. You know, it's really just blindly moving through the motions of your day. So the book was a great way for me to process, of course, those harder times in our lives where, you know, we really actually needed our parents to help us with small babies and children, and some struggles we were going through, like as a family or internally, like it was so much at once. And so when you have writing, or you have music, or you have, you know, performance art, or whatever you can pour yourself into, like those are essential tools for you moving through your life. Like you need those at any point in your life. And then that's where, you know, the commission artwork, and that, like, I'm always grateful that I did that at that point, because I was actually, it was a commission piece through the public school system is how I started the Art Academy. So I was complaining about how the education system needed more creativity. So everything leads into one thing. Like it really truly does. Like you just land yourself in these amazing positions, and it works out somehow. And you're scared, but it really does. And it is hard, but it's worth it.
Absolutely, yeah. That interests me. I mean, there's a lot of different topic or areas I could go to with those points. I guess, yeah, I mean, let's talk a bit more about like that comment you made when you were talking about the book, about, you know, like if I get the house, I'll be happy. If I get those things, I'll be happy. Striving for those things. Yeah, like what sort of advice do you give to people to maybe make them rethink that?
Well, you have to know what your passion is, and you have to at least leave some time and space for it, right? So there are obviously emotional pieces from my own journey that will help people to discover, like, what is it they love? Or, you know, I talk about those heavy losses of grief, because those were huge reminders for us to, like, you know, silver lining of losing your parents. It's like time is our most precious commodity, period. you know? So, and then of course, helping people just sticking to those routines of how you are happy in your best life. So, for example, like one of, and I do speak about like working at a restaurant and how it led to me being better with people and making things work, even though you're stuck in a job you loathe, right? Like I didn't loathe it, but it wasn't art.
Sure.
So it was hard to always show up. So, but if you're not showing up as your best self, why are you there? So the hardest part is getting dressed was the chapter. You know, in order for me to be happy, I have to move my body in the morning. So the hardest part is getting dressed is I put my run shoes on and I put my running outfit on, and then there's no getting out of it because you're 80% less likely to move your body later in the day than you are first thing in the morning. So like check that off right away. I'm happy as a clam when I do it. And it's not a lot. Like it could be walking for 15 minutes for someone or doing yoga or like any sort of thing. But for me, it's moving my body outside. So the hardest part is getting dressed, and then working in the restaurant, the hardest part is getting dressed and playing the part. So I would put on like funny, I had a uniform. So I would put on fun earrings, and scarves were in at the time, and just like be happy to engage with people, get to know them, ask them questions about themselves. Obviously, if you're a nicer human as a hostess or a server or anything, you're going to make more money. And, you know, which ultimately led to me putting a down payment on my first home, traveling to Thailand, doing these amazing, extraordinary experiences, being able to do art residencies because I could take a month off because I had a shoebox full of tips from being my best self. So don't just get dressed, but be like grateful and gratitude and play the part because you will attract more energy, and that positive energy does monetarily help, right? Yeah, so advice like that, like everything is that building block and that foundation to the life that you can envision and you can hope for and strive for. But don't forget about, you know, that daily routine of your life where it is pretty cool that, you know, you have a moving body that, for example, being grateful for a moving body that can run, you know, like it really is. And then I think another chapter is like throwing a bunch of spaghetti on a wall and seeing what sticks. So that talks about career, and, you know, some things will work and some things definitely won't. And intuitively moving through that and finding your own way through, you know, that passion that you know, if you are a musician, you can be a musician and work. You know, I had a student yesterday. I just saw her light up. I asked her if she was doing Art Academy next year, and she's like, no, I need to be in health because I want to be a doctor. And I was like, oh, okay, so what grade are you in again? Like, what grade are we? So grade 7. I was like, oh, sweetie, you can be an artist and you can be a doctor. Like, you can do both. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you can make art and be a doctor at the same time, or you can be a doctor who integrates like art therapy into your practice somehow, or, you know, and I think a doctor who made art, because you clearly love art, like I can say that because she's so engaged and she loves what she does. She's happy in class. It's like, I think you'll be a really happy doctor if you include, you know, art making and being a doctor. It doesn't have to be just the one thing. You can be multifaceted, right? And that is unique to each individual person.
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And yeah, I feel like it's so binary sometimes where, yeah, either you're the doctor or the artist, or you make art outside of your doctor practice. But based on that example, it's like, yeah, with someone so young, it sounds like maybe a lot of pressure on them to, you know, have this career way down the road, that there's those expectations that kind of feeds into the.
It's like, oh, I really don't want her to go home and tell her parents what I just said, but like, you know, like, I think from what I've witnessed and my own personal journey through life, it's like, I can safely say if you incorporate the things that you love, and like it's tons of pressure. And that comes with like exposure, and it's like these ideas of what success means, and hopefully one day me working with these youth can encourage them to follow, whatever their passion looks like, because they're all very different for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know we're a little short on our time. We could talk for forever. I'm curious, just maybe you're just transitioning from you wrote the book, Color Me Happy, and then you made the podcast with the same title. Tell me about why you decided to start a podcast.
Oh my gosh, I don't really know. I don't remember why. Actually, Kim from Nara Studios phoned me 3 days later. It's funny how energy and ideas work. But he's like, you should start a podcast. I was like, I know, we did. We decided. And I had a studio manager I had at the time, and we kind of brainstormed in the studio while Teddy, my youngest, was napping all the time. And we're like, we should do art workshops and residencies and trips, and we should travel the world, and we should write a book and start a podcast. We had all these and sell prints on Amazon, and like all these things, and like some of them didn't work. That's what I mean about the spaghetti. Like some falls off. The podcast I didn't take very seriously, and now I believe it's an essential part of my practice. It leads also into my free art community, which is for my students, and where they can like share what they're creating, engage with one another. And of course, the podcast allows me to meet with the most amazing people from all over the globe. So I do live in Canada, in Lloydminster, which is a smaller populated, city. It's a small city in kind of the middle of the prairies. And so there's not like a gallery where I'll go attend and meet all these artists. So it has led to me exhibiting in New York, meeting art groups that I've been a part of, interviewing people either on location or from like the craziest places. So it is a huge part of what I do. I've also, you get to learn and have this knowledge base of other people's experiences, and ask questions to these huge artists who you wouldn't know the answers to. And then, of course, my listeners want to know the answers. They want to know what materials they're using, how they made that, how they got to this point in their career, and it really is like kind of crazy who says yes to a podcast as well. You're like, you guys interview people all the time. You're like, oh, they said yes, cool. I get to, go here and meet them. And it's absolutely insane. And it is taking me to actually, going and doing those artist workshops we're doing Portugal 2027 finally. So that will open soon. And I'm very pumped up to paint by the ocean with a group of artists that like my students who I just learned there's one in Portugal, and she wants to meet me, and she wants to attend and this retreat, and she wants to take me around after. And these extremely driven, talented women, mostly, that's what the data and the stats say. So, and then learning how like these seasoned artists have done what they do, and have made these careers as full-time artists. Like how do it has allowed me to dissect that for not only myself, but all my listeners. And then it's just that, reaching down the ladder sort of ripple effect that is just, it just grew to way beyond what I thought it would.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity. I'm really glad that you've kept it up for so long. I know this is all the time we have for this segment, so really enjoyed just learning a bit about your artistic journey. It's been a great conversation. Thanks, Brandi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so this has been Tell Us Story Hive on location here in Lloydminster. I'm Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is my co-host,
Daniel J. Perriman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, author, podcaster, and educator.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Tell Us Story Hives on location in Lloydminster. My name is Daniel J. Perryman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. This is my co-host,
Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is...
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, podcaster, educator, and author.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us and inviting us into your space. It means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yeah, excited to have you here.
Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed your icebreakers and your interview with Michael, and I'm super excited to jump into a bit of a showcase of some of your stuff. And so, yeah, I think we'll just dive right in. You had sent us some photos, and the first one I think we'll pull up kind of features like somebody in a swim cap and a pregnancy piece also next to it in your studio down there. And I think the first thing that struck me looking at this photo was just like this idea of maybe like organized chaos. I don't know if that is accurate or not. What could you tell me?
You just summed up my brain.
Yeah.
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 That collection was a motherhood collection. Of course, it was COVID during the time, so everything had shut down. So the exhibition didn't happen, but it was an online exhibition. And I actually, one of the spaghetti things I threw was I actually opened up a gallery of my own and started doing calls for artists and having online exhibitions with a theme of a collection. We had like a summer collection, and we had motherhood, and we had, or we called it Like a Mother. That was right. Yeah, It was great because I actually got to know a ton of Canadian artists out on the West Coast.
Okay.
They had all applied. And then most recently, I was out there and we did a workshop. And the summer before that, we did a group podcast with a lot of them. So it was a great way to connect. I don't run the online gallery anymore because I just, inventory and art and shipping is a lot of work. And so once the education component grew, that was one of the things that just had to fall off. Like there's only so much bandwidth one person has on top of mothering 3 children and doing full-time hockey. So that piece, those pieces, those are my favorite. That was my favorite photo shoot of our studio. Not only are my kids like the cutest ages where they threw paint everywhere and I let them, and like there's just so much joy in that, and I let them paint all over the artwork all the time. So there's personal meaning in those pieces as an expressionist. Like they were like working out 3+3 and math equations and like drawing their names in really unique ways. Like I did a collection with each of my sons, which the first one did exhibit because we were exhibiting at the time in 2016, sorry. And it was so cool. It was my first son, and I don't like the part of the art world where it excludes people. So I kind of flipped it upside down. It really discluded mothers at the time. So we're talking, like a decade-ish ago. Like I would have people being like, I don't even know if I should become a mother. Like it will, affect my art career. So that's, if you want an idea of what women were thinking at that time. So I kind of flipped it upside down and I was like, let's make it interactive. And so I actually painted local parents. And so I had 44 people come to my studio where I photographed them. And then I ended up painting all of them. And then Gus, my oldest son, helped me create, and he would paint on it. And it was a really important time for me because it was a lot of letting go. Like I would like finish an eye in oil, which takes a lot of effort.
Okay. Yeah.
And he colored over it. And so I'd have to but there was this like element of letting go and a process that you can see throughout the artwork, that I leave levels of each process. So the underpainting, the like initial mark making of a child, which a lot of artists, like Picasso, for example, knew how to paint in a certain way. And once you learn it, I think if your brain's so, you know, that genius and intelligent, you kind of get bored. It's like, oh, I figured out realism. I can do realism. And then it just kind of like, you're like, ah. And
Atrophies
so
almost,
he says, I spent my whole life trying to paint like a child again. I think that was him. Anyway, I had children. So I was like, I'll just let them do it. And so it was this beautiful thing that just evolved. It was like, again, putting your own life and letting your, like, following, instead of fighting against that extraordinary space that you're in your present moment. And the present moment was, I was a mother raising children at home because childcare was too expensive. So I made it work. And so those two pieces, one is Serena Williams and one is my mother-in-law from 1977.
Okay.
And she was fixing hers. So I went through all our old family albums and yeah, and that actually, I painted too dark in oil and ended up pressure washing it 7 times to get the black off the outside. And then Gus and Finn, like, I have a video. They're like squishing their bodies on top of to get it colorful again. So like getting too tight as an artist and reintroducing that childlike play. And so I think it's really engaging for the viewer. And yeah, and my friend Taylor captured it within that moment of time, you know, and then, yeah, it always evolves. And Taylor, I actually made a collection following called the Taylor Collection. So the studio has transitioned in so many different, like it has looked so different for so many collections and so many seasons of our lives.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful story behind that, first of all. And you know, if we jump to, I don't know if we have jumped to any other images, but if we jump to, I think the 4th image, you're kind of like getting your hands dirty on the canvas that's on the floor or whatever it is that's on the floor, and you're getting your hands dirty there. And that was one of the things that stood out to me, was just that idea of like play, and also, yeah, engaging with your family, with your kids in that way. And so that's really beautiful hearing that insight of like that was actually like kind of the point of it. And yeah, I'd be curious to hear more about that idea of like of letting go, because I think that even in the world of theater, there's that idea of like the show's over, like our time is almost done together, but that's a necessary part. And I have to imagine like in the visual arts, it's like you have your finished piece. You can't, like, what does it mean to let go of that?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to finish like a painting and call it done. And
well,
like,
yeah.
The last little bit, you're like, is it? I don't know why, you know. Oh, it's, yeah, every artist is like, yes, there are stages of paintings. And once you become a little more seasoned, there's like consistencies you see, and there's a maturity to like not panic, because every painting pretty much hits an ugly stage. But it's just part of the process. For example, as a portrait artist, there is a point where when you're doing skin tone, and after your sketch, when you're putting on like the soft pastels, oil pastels, or oil paint over your initial sketch, you lose your lines, right? And then there's a point where you have to bring it all back. Like downstairs in the studio you saw today, like she's missing her eyebrows, and I'll tell you why. And it's really hard for me to sit there because my brain tries to fix the portrait before it's done. It's like, we know her lips and eyebrows aren't done, and it's really bothering us until we get in the studio again. Looks so bad. And for like education and content that I have to capture, I'm like, I hate showing this part. It's so ugly. It's the struggle of the painting. But eyebrows, if you look at them, they're not just like this dark line. They have areas of light and skin underneath them, and so eyebrows are, you know, that last application going over. So I love having the kids in there because, first of all, the portraits turn out every color under the sun. They actually mix colors I would never dream of mixing, which makes like red and green made for this one painting. I remember Gus mixed red and green, and I remember being like, oh, don't do that. In me, like the like the highly trained, classically trained artist in me was like, cool, man.
Yeah.
You're doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it turned this like rose pink color. And it's one of my favorite paintings from my one of my figurative collections, which I made after my second child when I like was learning to love my body again, which is, you know, like motherhood really leaked into my art.
Yeah.
So I partner with a lot of videographers and photographers, and our work kind of bounces off one another. That collection was Megan Eppen photography, the figurative store, and exploring my own figurative body again and being photographed right after you have 2 children, kind of a weird time. And then, of course, Taylor and her self-portrait collection inspired a whole collection. Her photography inspired a whole collection, and that went to New York. And so it's all this like big system that feeds it all. Like there's always a thing that happens that leads to the next thing.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And just to zone in there really quick on something you mentioned about you know, your son there mixing 2 colors that if you intellectualized it, there was friction. But you also mentioned, like in your interview with Michael, just being like a very intuitive person. And I just see that like intuition in your son there, like in that example that you mentioned. I think that's really beautiful, and that you allowed that. You know what I mean? You created space to just like allow that to happen, and then that, you know, a beautiful color came out of it miraculously. I think that's awesome. Yeah. There's
a huge pressure as an educator and a parent for myself personally that I put on myself is that you have to be so careful about what you say to children while they're creating something. I personally didn't do well with negative critiques, although in adulthood they pushed me further.
Sure.
I would say, like I gave a speech to 400 women. It's called Find Your Fire. So like negative art consultant encounters and working from that. But for children, they're so moldable, and that like one really terrible experience of like, well, I'm done with piano for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? You have to be really conscious of, and for me, I know how important like being a creative is into adulthood. So I try to encourage, not in like a bland positive way, but like, how are you going to find your way through this? Or I think you could push that further, or why don't you add a little more here, or you're done? Okay, cool. You're happy with that? I'm happy with it, you. Yeah. Or exploring ideas more, you know? So with my own children, obviously, they're probably super numb to the experience, but I hope one day they'll look back and be like, that was really actually not normal.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And yeah, if we jump to maybe image 3, if we haven't already, there's kids are on the canvas or on the what's it called, the sheet that's on the floor, and just creating. And I don't know, there's just something really beautiful about that and about that shoot. And I'm glad that you got to capture that. And yeah, maybe they can look back on that at some point. And see how maybe that's not like a typical thing. So
I know my art collector in Regina has a couple pieces that we made early on in those like young years, because you don't really realize how temporary those childhood, like when you're in that busy season of really young babies and kids, you don't know how precious those moments are until obviously like you're transitioning, they won't go to the playground with you anymore. Which has recently happened.
That sounds like a
like, we can't go. You guys don't want to go to the park? I didn't think I'd miss hanging at the park
like
with
this
you.
Outside? Or?
Yeah. Actually, we go out. I have 3 boys. We go out in all weather.
Nice.
Yeah, we just dress for the weather.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd miss that, and so now I'm like, I actually that swim cap one, I've held on to it. Like there's a few pieces where it's like I would like that for them to one day have that in their home of their grandmother from 1977, which they danced on and painted when they were, 3 and 5. Yeah. So really important moments.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And just kind of taking a step out of that maybe for a second, is just that idea of like it being in your studio and having that space in your home, accessible to you. I guess I'm just curious maybe what that means to you, to have that space to create in and have it be accessible. And was that just like always a necessity, or
like having a creative space?
Yeah, and having it in your home, no less.
Yeah, I always try it when I email out my parents of the new Art Academy students. I'm like, make sure, like, get excited. Here's some like example inspiration pics. Like maybe set up a little corner with a table. That's really all you need.
Right.
Like, really. Where we get that messy though, like it's insane. So like I have ruined rooms for sure. I really can't, I just get like in the headspace and I can't not make a mess. Like it's really challenging. And then I get frustrated from making a mess, which bothers me. And like, I think messes with that creative process. I don't know one day what someone will do with that room down there. Like half the basement is covered in paint. Maybe they'll like the floor. I like the floor. I think it should be photographed every season. And documented. It's gorgeous. But that, I think everyone does have that ability, whether it be their kitchen table, their upstairs room in the corner, to like, I've seen people make really cool films and shorts from like having this much space in their kitchen in New York or whatever. Have your creative space, set it up, and whatever that means or looks like to you, and it will always evolve and change with your ideas and your personality. So we love it. Teddy did, which worried me. He's 6 and he came to the table. I was like, do you love these new butterflies and moths? Which is weird. And he's like, all of a sudden, like I could tell like somehow school's like influencing his, because last year he was like, I'm an artist. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm not that into art. And I was like, what? And he was home with me a lot recently in the last, few years. So he would make full, like he would be like, we're making an alligator head. And I'd be like, okay. And like, then we'd do it. And then we'd inspire millions of people on social media to like make a giraffe or whatever. And then the other boys would come home from school and like make a tiger and a giraffe and all these things. So like snowball. And so again, I'm hitting this crazy moment in life where it's like, they don't think I'm as cool anymore. And it's that grief of your kids changing and then their peers influencing them. And so how do you like keep them wanting to be engaged within themselves, knowing that it's so important?
Interesting. I know we are kind of getting to the end of our time, but I'd be remiss, especially given that last example there, if we didn't look at your website. And specifically on your website, you have a section for motherhood. And you've spoken a lot about that, I think, today, and especially in our showcase here. And what can you tell me about that part of your website specifically, and like why did it come about, and what value do you find in it?
Well, it is for other parents who are in that really young season of life. That is when, like, when you think about your audience and your people and who resonate with, what you're sharing, or what my whole book was about, really, like being an artist and a mother, hoping to reach and help those people in the way that I felt like I needed help at the time. Like it really is, when you, like Austin Kleon, he writes all those books like Steal Like an Artist, and you write the book that you need to read.
Right.
Yeah. So aiding, even like, it doesn't have to just be mothers, but parents.
Right.
There's these things that we learn that we just don't know. And the hugest value is time, of course. But also things that I encountered intuitively, but shared with people, was like, I'm a real stickler for schedule and sleep, which I'm not like but I get pretty like, this is bedtime and we do have to, or we'll have a really bad day, or the children are super hungry, and you can tell by the way the one threw the toy at the other one's head that it's probably time to like have snacking, have a nap.
Sure, yeah.
And then you have your time to paint.
Yeah.
You know, those windows. So I mentor, I like, not as much anymore because I've gotten so busy with the education component, but mentored other artist mothers through that time in their lives, like thinking about going back to art school. And I say, you know what, you can make your career actually learning through online education and just setting up a space in your home for yourself instead of having a 4-year time investment financially. And yeah,
Totally.
like such an undertaking, especially when you have kids and your life to think about. So yeah.
Very cool. Okay. I do think that is the time that we have,
Oh my gosh,
unfortunately.
we didn't even talk about this huge mural project.
I know. Do you have like a quick shout out that you could give for that?
Yeah, well, no, it is really important component for our community. It stands as a pillar of hope. It is called Choose Love and Join Hands in Truth and Reconciliation. It was one of probably the most beautiful, important projects of my whole, and it will be of my career. It was hard to come off of that project. We worked with wonderful community partners, photographer Randy Noble and the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation, and the Heart of Treaty 6. So the level of learning, connection, and people, and of course, just supporting that community in our local and surrounding area. So it wasn't, it was like, how do you draw attention to such an important subject matter and make the world a better place? How do you do that? And you can through your artwork. You can be an expander by being, you know, you can inspire others through being the best version of yourself. What I guess it like all leads into is that, you know, being a good parent, being a good person, taking care of yourself, and then inspiring others to do the same is such a valuable currency that I think a lot of people don't see themselves being, that you can inspire others through your creativity and your passions.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds amazing. And it's unfortunate that we don't give it a bit more time right now, but thank you again for all your insights and stories. I really appreciate them.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been Tell a Story Hives on location in Lloydminster. My name is Daniel J. Perryman, local theatre and filmmaker based in Lethbridge, Alberta. This is my co-host,
Michael Bartz. I make short films and podcasts about environmental sustainability. And this is
Brandi Hofer, artist, muralist, mother, podcaster, author, and educator.
I think that was
did
the similar order.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was not. I even
Awesome.
added motherhood in there.
There you
for
go.
you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for watching.